The Korean pop or K-pop musical genre has its origins in South Korea. Its foundation is pop music, but it also incorporates other genres such as hip-hop, R&B, electronic, and rock. After the overwhelming success of Gangnam Style, which today has accumulated more than 5 billion views on YouTube, K-pop has become a fundamental pillar of Korean culture, dominating a large part of the country's youth market. This phenomenon can largely be attributed to its idols, young artists who, before debuting, undergo years of rigorous training in singing, dancing, and performance. During this process, their lives and emotions are meticulously documented and exposed in reality shows designed to boost their popularity in the competitive world of Korean entertainment. It is a cycle of constant exposure, where every emotion becomes part of the show, a level of exposure that sometimes ends with young artists so exhausted that they choose to self-eliminate. These bands cover topics ranging from love to the joy of youth. The goal is to generate views and interaction, which translates into sales of albums, clothing, and merchandise for fans. Selling in large quantities is key, the more commercial, the better. However, the K-pop market, where videos and music sell like hotcakes, is not easy to break into. This is important because for years it has been dominated by three giants, SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment, and JYP Entertainment. These companies, through their successful bands, have reached net worths of around $2 million generated exclusively by their K-pop groups. At this point in the story, here is where the game changes. This is the man you see here. His name is Pun Ch Ha. He already has experience in this world since he worked as a composer at one of the big companies mentioned earlier. So, he takes advantage of this experience and creates the agency Big Hit Entertainment. His goal is to create a space where he can experiment creatively, moving away from the formulas, lyrics, and sounds already known that work for the industry giants. Remember this, because it will be key to his success. Nonetheless, things do not go very well for Big Hit Entertainment, to say the least, because it fails to stand out in the competitive industry, bringing it to the brink of bankruptcy. They invested heavily in a girl band that eventually disbanded, and later they tried to represent already formed talents, but that didn't work either. For this reason, they never took off as expected. So, to save the company, the CEO makes a decision to recruit new talent and create a boy band from scratch, convinced that only something like that could gain recognition and, therefore, generate the necessary income to save the company. Although this strategy implies higher costs, it offers the advantage of molding the members according to his vision and industry experience. With great faith, they take the gamble. After a video of the CEO announcing the auditions is released, a recruitment process begins that is surprisingly diverse. Some boys come through Big Hit's open auditions, others are discovered by the company's agents on the street, and some catch the company's attention by excelling in dance or singing during auditions for other projects. The interesting thing about Big Hit's recruitment is that the CEO decided to do things differently. Normally, the big companies recruited their talents through global auditions where they looked at how perfect they were for singing, doing dance steps with millimetric precision, how many languages they mastered, and how much experience they had. Big companies looked for robots to direct and exploit. But Big Hit chose to focus on the passion the boys felt for what they did, whether it was singing, dancing, hip-hop, or anything else. And so, after a long search, the company is left with 7 selected members, the youngest of whom is only 15 years old. Together, they form the band BDSD, or, worldwide, BTS, a name that symbolizes that they are ready to compete for a place in the K-pop industry. With the boy band now formed and a team willing to risk everything, the preparation period for launching their first album begins. As with all K-pop bands, this process is exhausting, with long hours of rehearsals and intense work. However, for BTS the situation is even more complicated because the company is on the brink of bankruptcy. They do not have many resources to pay writers, choreographers, or designers. That's why the members become actively involved with the CEO in creating some of their songs and in the aesthetic preparation of their debut album. During this time, all 7 live together in a small apartment far from their homes. They share such a limited space that sometimes they have to cook on the floor. They take care of the cleaning, celebrate birthdays, rehearse tirelessly, and support one another, always holding on to the hope that all their effort will be worth it. Finally, after months of living together and facing all the challenges that come with it, the long-awaited day arrives, the filming of the music video for their first album, Too Cool for School. The excitement and nerves mix among the members, aware of the enormous responsibility they carry on their shoulders, since the investment for making these videos is not cheap. Aware of this, they give it their all. Once the music video is finished, the date is set for the official launch of both the video and the full album. While they wait, BTS seeks a way to present themselves on a program that allows them to show their talent to a wider audience. They manage to secure a spot on the Melon Showcase. This event is organized by Melon, one of the largest streaming platforms in South Korea, and is designed to promote artists, especially those who are debuting or releasing new music. This is the perfect opportunity to finally make themselves known. They finally take the stage and perform 2 of their songs, dazzling everyone with their style and impeccably coordinated choreographies. On the same day as this first presentation, the music video for No More Dream is published on YouTube, where the 7 members step off a school bus, introducing themselves by their stage names Rap Monster, Jin, Jimin, J-Hope, Suga, and Jungkook. Note, in the original script Jungkook is mentioned, though the actual member is Jungkook. This scene literally marks their official entrance into the world of K-pop. This first song talks about how society no longer lets you dream. Although it is a profound message, it is not exactly the most commercial, and as a consequence, the launch is not as successful as expected. To give you an idea, what dominated the industry around 2013 were love songs, school heartbreaks, and vibrant colors with catchy rhythms, that is, the commercial formula. For all these reasons, the path to success becomes more uncertain than they had anticipated. Nonetheless, the passion of these boys and the support from the company pushed them not to give up. Determined to convey a different message to those who listen to them, they embark on creating their second album. In just a couple of months, they launch it as part of a trilogy. This second album is composed of 10 songs, with the main single delivering a strong message to young South Koreans: say no to conformity, no to living the dreams of others, and no to letting others control your life. This message is a continuation of the previous album and is reinforced by increasingly impactful choreographies that try to express indignation in clear opposition to the norms of Korean society. Upon investigating, I discovered that this message has a deeper origin, one that may be related to the reality of South Korea, a country known for being extremely demanding regarding the way its inhabitants live and plan their future. It turns out that in this country, from an early age, young Koreans spend long hours in school followed by multiple extracurricular activities, all with the objective of preparing for the most important exam of their lives, which supposedly will guarantee them success. This success often simply translates into a decent job with workweeks exceeding 50 hours. The exam, which lasts 8 consecutive hours, determines which university they can attend, and so that students are not distracted that day, the entire country comes to a standstill. All this pressure, sadly, translates into a high rate of self-elimination among teenagers and young people. In a country where discussing mental health issues is still taboo, those facing psychological problems often feel ashamed to seek help, leading them to silence what they really feel. It is for this reason that the group's intentions focus on making visible the importance of not getting trapped by social norms and following one's dreams. However, at first, this message does not manage to capture the attention they need, and although it is precisely what ends up characterizing the band, for the moment they continue walking on a tightrope. To close this trilogy, they decide to change perspective by releasing School Love Affair with a more relaxed approach, adopting the appearance of high school boys and love songs, the kind of content that, at that moment, sold more easily. This third release takes them back to the Melon Showcase. But this time they are not debutantes, now they have fans eagerly awaiting their presentation. They are now BTS. Thanks to this more commercial and less controversial style, they begin to gain recognition little by little. At the same time, the band starts doing autograph signings and small concerts where they strengthen a closer bond with ARMY, their fanbase. In fact, the name ARMY in English means army, and it is a play on words with the acronym for their full name, Adorable Representative MC for Youth, symbolizing the idea that BTS and their fans are always together like an army that protects and supports the group at all times. At the end of that year, BTS receives their first awards as New Artist of the Year at the Melon Music Awards, Golden Disc Awards, and Seoul Music Awards. These recognitions mark only the beginning of a long list of accolades the boys will go on to accumulate. From there, the band starts being invited to radio shows and programs where on more than one occasion they receive direct comments telling them that they are not rappers but idols, since K-pop is considered too commercial while hip-hop is seen as a more authentic style. By coincidence, a unique opportunity comes into their lives. The band is invited to participate in a Korean reality show called American Hustle Life, whose objective is to immerse them in American hip-hop culture and help them learn more about the genre. The program is recorded in Los Angeles, California, where the members are guided by iconic figures of hip-hop. The idea is to train them even more, this time under the tutelage of legendary artists like Coolio and Warren G.E., who teach them about the history of hip-hop, life on the streets, and rap techniques, delving into the essence of the genre that they so desire to incorporate into their music. During the program, the boys create their own music, choreographies, and shoot a music video, putting into practice everything they have learned. This experience later drives them to explore productions outside of their group work, especially for the rappers of the group. Taking advantage of the opportunity to be in the United States, a country that is a leader in the music industry, BTS organizes a small concert to introduce themselves outside of Korea. The members create and distribute flyers, even though they do not speak the language, and they go out into the streets of Los Angeles to hand them out. Many people walk by, some look at them with curiosity because they are Asian, and others accept the flyer with interest. Although few people attend this concert compared to the crowds they will eventually attract in the future, this first experience outside the Korean stages prepares them for the tremendous success they are about to achieve. And if these boys had already worked hard, here begins an excess of work that gradually starts to take a toll on their health. During the recordings for this program, they continue working on their next album, and the CEO of Big Hit is determined that they must succeed. He even manages to secure them a borrowed garage in the city so they can record part of the album. In fact, years later in an interview recalling the creation of this album, the boys mention that with limited resources and an extremely tight schedule, sometimes they would even sneak away to the bathroom just to take naps because they had no time for anything else. Upon returning to Korea, they released the album Dark and Wild, composed of 14 tracks. This release is crucial for continuing to gain recognition and maintaining their upward trajectory, but also to demonstrate the versatility of the group, a key quality to conquer new markets and attract more fans, an objective that the CEO already has his eyes on. This particular album is well received by the Japanese public, which leads them to perform their first tour in Japan, opening new horizons with versions of their music in that language. The boys fare better and better wherever they go. They begin to catch attention even on social media, where the music videos, choreographies, and behind-the-scenes footage they post start to gain recognition. Their songs continue to be catchy and aimed at generating revenue, but at this point, the band decides to return to its roots and revisit the themes they wanted to address in their first two albums, though this time with some changes. Thus, the trilogy of albums, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, is born, which will be key to their future success. This work is deeper, more authentic, and dares to tackle topics such as pressure, emotional dependence, and the decisions to self-eliminate in a less commercial way. The team then comes up with an idea to create a fictional universe inspired by the theory that motivated the famous movie, The Butterfly Effect. To give you some context, this fictional universe, created by the company's creative direction, narrates the story of 7 friends united by tragedy. With a greater investment in the quality of their videos, BTS begins to offer their fans a whole world to explore through their music videos, which leave clues about an ongoing story intertwined with the lyrics and messages they wish to share with each release. BTS manages to generate speculations and theories, which increases their reach. Out of all these theories, one stands out and seems to be the central axis of the BTS universe, the theory of chaos known as the butterfly effect. In case you didn't know, the butterfly effect is inspired by an old Chinese proverb, which states that a small change, like the flap of a butterfly's wings, can trigger a typhoon on the other side of the world. In other words, an apparently insignificant gesture can produce a domino effect, causing unpredictable consequences, whether for better or worse. This idea intertwines with the chaos theory, which postulates that in every chaotic situation there is a moment of transformation that, in turn, generates a new order. Thus, from this point on, BTS's videos are designed for viewers to follow a story that becomes clearer with each release, or sometimes even more entangled. With the closing of the trilogy in Young Forever, we can notice this focus. For example, the music videos for I Need You and Run are only the beginning of a narrative where the theory of chaos comes to life. The scenarios of each character intertwine, weaving a web of situations that reveal how their destinies are connected in an invisible way. At the center of this story is Jin, the eldest of the group, who seems to assume the role of savior, but in his attempt to rescue his friends he faces a painful truth: every action he takes to save one of them comes at a cost for another. The hidden messages in this story speak to the personal struggles and situations that many of their fans might be experiencing, situations that sometimes overwhelm us and over which we have no control. In this universe created for their fans, BTS offers them a refuge where they can feel safe, gifting them songs as profound as Well and 52, inspired by the real story of a whale that sings a different, misunderstood, and lonely frequency as it wanders through the vast ocean. This story is actually a kind of metaphor between the band and ARMY, since it was their fans who managed to listen to them despite speaking a different language while trying to find their place in a vast musical ocean. But it is at this point that BTS releases a song that changes everything, a song called Fire. The choreography for Fire quickly becomes one of the group's most iconic due to its energetic dance. As for the song, it stands out on various music charts both in South Korea and internationally, reaching number 1 on Billboard's World Digital Songs chart, making BTS the first South Korean group to achieve that feat. Things are going exceptionally well, especially if you consider that they come from a production company that seemed destined to fail. Now, BTS has a strong voice to defend themselves against the criticism that arises along the way, and they use it to convey a positive message to those who listen to them. With this winning streak comes the album Wings, which marks an even more creative turn in their career. At this point, BTS continues with the narrative of the fictional universe they have created while exploring literary works as inspiration for their music videos, a focus that distinguishes them from the rest of the industry that they are about to completely dominate. In fact, to better understand this album, we can refer to one of their main literary inspirations, Damien, the story of Emile Sinclair's youth by Hermann Hesse. In short, this novel explores themes such as the search for identity, rebellion against authority, the struggle between good and evil, and the importance of finding oneself, all clear representations of what BTS has meant so far. Inspired by these themes, each member of the band releases a solo song as part of an album full of theories, showing their part of the story and reflecting their personal journey from youth to adulthood. This album is an overwhelming success, selling 2.3 million digital copies in South Korea and reaching 6 million views on YouTube with its main song Blood, Sweat and Tears. From here, BTS's career takes off in an unstoppable way, receiving recognition after recognition worldwide. A multitude of awards, galas, and stages begin to appear, consolidating their status. For example, these are some of the most prestigious and well-known award ceremonies in Asia, organized annually by a South Korean television channel. These awards celebrate achievements and contributions in the Asian music industry with a particular focus on K-pop. Historically, these award ceremonies have been dominated by K-pop bands belonging to the three major companies mentioned earlier, which have swept up all the awards year after year. But that night, everything changes. The presenter of the Artist of the Year 2016 award pronounces BTS's name for the first time. This is the highest accolade in the Asian music industry, and these boys have achieved it through sweat, tears, and enormous effort. They can't believe it. They are the first band from a company that does not belong to SM, YG, or JYP to win this prestigious recognition. They all embrace and, through tears, go up on stage to receive the award, with the leader expressing, "There were many people who said we couldn't do it. Armies of all around the world, thank you. We must fly with our beautiful wings." In 2017, in a speech full of hope, they allude to the album that led them to win, conveying how difficult it was to reach that place both for them and for all the team that worked tirelessly behind the scenes. That night, the band marks a milestone in music by taking home the most anticipated award of all, the Album of the Year. Not only that, but they also sweep the awards for Artist of the Year, Best Song, and Best Music Video. As the group's leader states, 2017 will be a great year, but it will also become the most difficult for the band due to the pressure and demands that fame will bring. In February of that year, they begin their first world tour, covering approximately 20 cities. This tour allows them to explore new horizons and becomes a springboard for their career, taking them to an unprecedented level of recognition. During this journey, they are nominated as Top Social Artist at the Billboard Music Awards, surpassing artists like Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, and Ariana Grande in that category, a milestone event marking their official entry into the global music scene. Their appearance at this award show also opens doors for collaborations with renowned artists such as Steve Aoki and the Chainsmokers. In fact, they become the first South Korean group to perform on one of the most important music shows in the United States, a feat that resonates around the world and lays the foundations for the future of K-pop in the Western market, something that those boys who once handed out flyers on the street to bring in audiences could never have imagined. However, the amount of work these boys have accumulated over time begins to take its toll, as the pressure of success becomes increasingly overwhelming and suffocating. The competition in the United States is incomparable to that in Korea, and the widespread hate surrounding them weighs heavily on their shoulders. To give you an idea, these boys have one of the best live shows in the industry, shows that are compared to those of Coldplay. The problem is that although they are spectacular, they are very difficult to perform because they have to sing and dance at the same time, which demands a great amount of energy. And if that were not enough, in their free time they compose songs, record albums, and even work on a series, all to keep their fans constantly supplied with content. All of this is reflected in the series Born the Stage, which shows the behind the scenes of their world tour. There, we see them facing health issues, exhaustive rehearsal hours, arguments among themselves, self-esteem problems due to the pressure of singing and dancing simultaneously without missing a note, and even eating disorders to maintain their image. All this workload and non-stop schedule are wearing them down both physically and mentally. These feelings become evident at an awards ceremony where they admit that during this period they even considered breaking up. However, the long journey it took to get to this point and the constant love they received from their fans made them decide to keep going to deliver a positive message to the world. It is for this reason that, after years of searching for their musical identity, facing criticism, and pushing themselves to the limit without being able to fully love themselves, the album that marks the next step in their career is born. Before releasing it, the band decides to change the meaning of the initials BTS. Previously, they stood for Bulletproof Boy Scouts, but they decide to change it to Beyond the Scene. With this change, they leave behind the dark moments and everything they did to fit in, moving into a phase with more creative freedom, more personal expression, and that represents their true essence. In fact, even the CEO admits that he doesn't know when he went from being the writer of this story to becoming merely a spectator. From these feelings, and as they have done throughout their career, the boys used their personal experiences to create another album that will take them even further, something that seemed impossible. At the end of that year, Love Yourself is released, a trilogy that narrates the search for self-love, acceptance, and forgiveness, with songs that emphasize that sometimes loving yourself is harder than loving someone else, but it is essential to be able to love healthily. With this album, BTS reaches every corner of the world with a powerful message. This work brings them records, fame, and even a campaign called Love Myself in collaboration with UNICEF. In addition, this impact leads them to give a speech at the United Nations, where the leader, standing before the UN and everyone watching, says, "It doesn't matter where you're from, your skin color, or your gender identity, just speak for yourself. Find your name, find your voice." With that, and with everything we have seen, BTS makes history both in their country and around the world. After that, the boys are even recognized by the Korean government, becoming the youngest to receive the Korean Popular Culture and Arts Awards, a prestigious recognition given at an annual ceremony that celebrates artists who contribute to the development of popular culture, highlighting the cultural and artistic impact BTS has had globally. From that point on, more recognitions, more albums, more collaborations, and interviews on renowned shows such as Ellen and Jimmy Fallon follow. The fame of BTS seems destined to be endless. Then, in 2020, a historic event occurs that brings the whole world to a standstill: the pandemic. This situation forces everyone to stay at home, which has a huge impact on the band's seemingly unstoppable musical career. Their world tour is cancelled, leaving their fans, and especially the members, devastated. However, they decide not to stand idle. What they do for their fans is deeply comforting for both parties. They begin to offer virtual concerts with songs written about persevering in times of crisis, some even free of charge, in order to maintain the connection with ARMY and express their support, even from a distance. They generate lots of content for social media, interact with their followers, and even incorporate an army bomb in their shows, a tool their fans use to cheer during concerts, with each seat symbolizing the presence of their fans and encouraging them to feel that, despite the distance, they are still there supporting them as always. After a long period of waiting during which they continued working, they finally return to the stage with even more strength than before. They carry out successful collaborations with artists such as Coldplay on the song My Un, as well as with Halsey on Boy with Love and with Ed Sheeran on Permission to Dance. In this year, BTS makes one of their most important commercial moves in their career. They release a single called Dynamite, a song dedicated to the American market, sung entirely in English and including Michael Jackson-inspired dance moves in their choreography. With this song, they hit the mark perfectly, as it quickly rose in popularity. The music video currently has almost 1.9 billion views, as of 2024, making it one of the most listened to songs of that year. This leads them to be nominated for the Grammys and to perform at the ceremony, one of the most important events in the music industry. Although they did not win, they were nominated for the first time in the category of Best Pop Duo/Group Performance, thanks to their successful song. However, just as BTS reaches the very peak of success and after celebrating their 9th anniversary as a band, they unexpectedly announce a hiatus in their career. This difficult decision becomes evident during the anniversary dinner they hold in 2022, where they are visibly affected. At that moment, a mix of emotions is palpable: the joy for the years they shared and the sadness for what is to come. Generally, these hiatuses are taken by artists to complete their mandatory military service. It turns out that in South Korea, military service is a crucial part of the lives of South Korean men due to the ongoing tensions with North Korea. For this reason, the country maintains a strict national defense policy that includes mandatory military service for all men between the ages of 18 and 28. The worst part is that the service lasts approximately 18 months. Nonetheless, this is where a wave of indignation and criticism towards Korean policies begins. Fans argue that everything the group has contributed to Korean society should be enough to exempt them from military service, especially since they are at the peak of their careers. But here comes the most impressive part. In response, the South Korean parliament announces a military deferment law, colloquially known as the BTS law, dictated at the end of 2021, allowing male artists who have helped improve their country's reputation to start their service at 30 instead of 28. Thanks to this postponement, the group decides to hold their last concert with all 7 members on stage and organizes an unprecedented event in the country, something never before seen, called Jet to Come. This takes place in Korea and ends up gathering thousands of fans in a large stadium and, at the same time, millions of global online viewers. This event was free of charge and was held in support of South Korea's bid to host the World Expo 2030. And if you were wondering what happened to Big Hit, the company diversified, changed its name to HYBE Labels, and fulfilled its initial purpose of integrating and representing K-pop bands in an industry that they now lead. To give you an idea, in just 1 year HYBE raised more money than the former industry giants combined. After all this, the band finally took a well-deserved hiatus. The first member to enlist in the military says goodbye with an emotional show alongside Coldplay in Argentina, while the other members continue to explore their personal musical styles without leaving ARMY behind. Throughout this break, they maintain the connection and mutual support they have nurtured since their early days in that small company apartment. And as a fun fact, the members decided to buy the very place where it all began, the same apartment in which they lived during those first years when success seemed like an unreachable dream, and they keep it as a symbol and a reminder of where they started, to acknowledge and value the entire journey they have traveled.